Good afternoon, good morning, Pio Marola here from ThinkLinkers, and I'm really excited to welcome you back to another fantastic discussion on LinkedIn. Today, we are actually going to talk about AI. A very important topic, as we all know. We had several sessions addressing artificial intelligence, and we focused on several aspects of it, such as data privacy, ethical implications. This time, we'll actually talk about AI and business outcomes and business functions as well. More specifically, we're going to talk about AI for product information management. And of course, coming back with us, there's a wonderful team from Via Medici. We have Jürgen Müller and Albis Meyer that will be speaking about artificial intelligence for PIM. Now, to begin with, I would like to ask you, where are you connecting from today? I am back in Prague as we're preparing and we're gearing up for the upcoming Data Management Think Club. Last week I was for a whole week in Armenia, actually. I can recommend to all of you to really visit Armenia. It was quite a pleasant surprise to see what a wonderful city Yerevan, the capital, was. So let us see. We have plenty of people, actually. We're expecting plenty of participants. And of course, to all of you, I would like to encourage you to leave your comments in the comment section. And of course, ask as many questions as you have for us. We have the honor today to have true experts, both in the field of AI and in the field of PIM. So this is really the right place for you to ask questions. So again, drop in the comments, where are you coming from? We look forward to hearing you. Now, let us move forward and invite Jürgen Müller and Albis Meyer on stage. Hi, Al. Hi, Jürgen. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing, Pio?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, hi Pio. Yeah, no, very fine. Good to be here.
Fantastic. That's a wonderful afternoon, sunny afternoon here. Last few rays of sun, actually, because it's already 5 o'clock. And we have here Stan from Princeton. We have Seattle. We have London. Thank you for being with us today. So, first of all, for those, well, I know we talked about artificial intelligence many times, and you're really, I believe, a household name for people who are interested in AI. But for those in the audience that don't know you yet, tell us something about yourself.
Jürgen?
Yeah, so my name is Jürgen Müller. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Via Medici. Via Medici, we are in PIM, MDM, product configuration, MAM-DAM business, and provide a SaaS solution for this purpose. I'm in this business now for almost 20 years. And I actually also just came back from a longer business trip. So it feels like the real in-person meetings are back. So I was most of last week traveling around, and yesterday and the day before as well. So this is my first day back in the office, and I'm very happy to spend the time here now with you in this discussion.
And I'm Al Bismeyer. I'm the global vice president with Via Medici, and I've been in the PIM and MDM space for about 30 years. And some of the things I've been working on recently have kind of outside of our traditional stuff has really been around sustainability. We're doing a lot with our customers in MDM and sustainability, both digital product passport as well as sustainability within organizations. So it's been very exciting and kind of working with the technical teams on that development.
Indeed, the crucial topic, sustainability, nowadays. But let us get right into the topic of the day. So how can AI be applied to PIM?
So there are actually several areas of application. One, and this is the most common one, is simply for data enrichment purposes. So data enrichment, this includes translation. So before you had translation processes involving translation agencies, involving translation memory systems, etc. And what you can do today is simply to have an AI doing the translation, and then afterwards, of course, have your quality assurance process, etc. So you usually still need your processes in order to get up this high quality, but most of the work can be done by an AI engine, and this is really very common. And when you are looking at newer implementations, then this is more or less a kind of a standard to do it like this. Another area for data enrichment is text generation. So I think everybody is aware of OpenAI, ChatGPT, and things. This is exactly the same story. So you integrate AI services. So maybe, for example, you integrate ChatGPT or similar services. There are also more specialized services available, either based on ChatGPT or other engines. You can use those services in order to create marketing text, product descriptions, also product launch text. You can make this role specific, you can make it channel specific, you can make it purpose specific. So much more than when you do it manually, because it's a lot of work to create all those texts if you have large portfolios. And again, depending on how you do it and depending on what kind of products you sell and what business you're in, you might simply just take what the AI generates for you. Of course, you need to work initially a little bit on the prompts and on tuning and things like that. But once this is done, the result is actually very good. Or you again use it just as a suggestion and then work on it either by improving the prompts and have a team for that, or by really working on the text and refine it. So this really depends, and again, based on these workflows. So auto translation, text generation, marketing text, very common. Also, when you think about images, that you create descriptions for your images, that you create tags, keywords, etc. All this can be easily done by using artificial intelligence. Saves you a lot of work simply, and is required. With image description, you're also close to accessibility topics. So here it's simply required. So if somebody has problems with his eyes and things, then a description which can be read, so you hear it, is of course a big help and very supportive. So these are also things you can handle by using this kind of technology. So this is actually all I mentioned. Also, as areas of application are quite common in the meantime. And then you also have this categorization where you automatically categorize products and things when checking in. This also saves a lot of time during your daily work. So simply these easy supporting activities. So these are the low-hanging fruits where you get a lot of benefit with relatively low effort.
Okay. Now, of course, many organizations are testing the limits almost of generative AI and ChatGPT. And it would be really interesting to hear from you some experience about some of the specific cases that you mentioned, where the adoption of AI really led to business outcomes with some clients perhaps, or some things that you have seen firsthand. What were the most impactful ways of adopting business cases, let's say, for AI?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we see, and Jürgen mentioned it already, is really around translation and localization and product content for specific regions. And so we actually have a solution set called Smart Lingo that actually does translation for all different marketplaces. And our customers recently had a roundtable where they were discussing the effectiveness of using AI to actually do translation and localization and the business benefits that were associated with it. And it's actually different for different customers, because some customers, based on whether they have technical products that are very highly complex, where you have to have taxonomy and context, the translation from an AI still needs maybe some more massaging. But if you have a simple product, the translation is almost 90%. It's actually excellent. You still need to have human review, but if you're doing it with multiple locations, many of our customers have, 30 to 40 markets and languages that they're working with. And you can actually use this and automate translation of a given product text across all those different things almost immediately, and then have local groups do it. So the cost savings is hundreds of thousands of dollars for these organizations, and the time savings can be between 60% and 90% in terms of what they're saving based on the complexity of their product. And that's just one example. The translation aspect, what you're doing with the translation and localization and using AI for that. And another thing that we're seeing with our customers is they're using our Smart Lingo with like DeepL and some external tool sets, but we have some companies that are actually doing internal translation tools because they don't want, sensitive product information to go outside the firewall. So they want to make sure if they're doing translation for product, it's maintained internally, and then they can actually use that for their business benefit and localization. So those are some determinant things, and we can get into that later in the discussion, but that's some of the stuff that we've seen in terms of an area of some low-hanging fruit and immediate benefit. And the thing we're kind of excited about is the fact that our customers are talking about it. It's not us talking about it. So they had a roundtable about 3 weeks ago, where they did an internal session with about 15 or 20 customers talking about the benefits. And then we're actually having an innovation day coming up here in about 3 weeks, where they're also going to talk about the business benefits of AI and what we're doing. So that's one example. Jürgen?
Yeah. I might just add some numbers to this, because what was also apparent, and I think they're also quite impressive, that by using and combining these activities, like automatic text generation, image tagging optimization, keywording description, and also translation. So just having AI helping with those enrichment tasks. We have customers that have reduced time to market for the digital channels by more than 50%, because this was simply very time consuming. So they still, of course, have their review processes, yes, but everything happens much faster. And they've already reduced time to market quite a bit with inventing PIM and MDM solution, structured data and everything. And now again, 50%, that's a lot. Also, we have customers who simply, so one of our customers was only communicating in 5 languages. So for the key markets, and all the rest was English only and Finnish. And they have now local languages in almost all markets. It was again simply because based on the same budget and with the same team, they could simply handle much more. And this, of course, is also an impact on sales. So the way you are perceived in a certain market is a bit different if you have everything available in the local language. And this can be done with relatively little effort. So these are, I think, very impressive results. What we also see is a bit more complex stuff. For example, we have customers who are like many actually. The digital shelf is actually very big. So they have maybe 50, 60, 70, 80 different channels where they have to provide their products. And then it's quite a task to make sure that your products are really in that channel. So you have these digital shelf analytics activities. You need to check that. It's not absolutely guaranteed that it's really there. There might have been a problem or whatever. You need to check that the data is correct, so it arrived in the correct way, everything is fine. But you might also want to check how your position is in a certain channel, how you're ranked compared to your competitors, etc. And based on all this data, you can also have an AI analyze your position and analyze your competitors and either recommend what you could do in order to improve, or directly suggests improvements. So usually, again, it is not 100% automated. Usually, it is again a human involved in order to say yes, approved, do it. But this simply, you have an AI improving your positioning in the digital shelf in the different channels. So this is also another more complex area of application. So it's a lot of different things, and this, of course, immediately helps you to sell more and drives your revenue.
Oh, absolutely. It really sounds like quite a game changer in the e-commerce space. To
Yes.
be able to really translate things in different languages, because I mean, just as you said before, customers want something that is as easy for them to consume and as personalized as it can possibly be. And yeah, absolutely. What you mentioned now in digital shelf, about digital shelf, which is a term that we hear more and more and more as the time passes, and that it is indeed a fundamental when it comes to e-commerce. So
yeah, exactly. And this is really, as I mentioned before, you use AI in order to enrich your data. But this was an example where you use AI in order to improve your data and improve your positioning and improve your activities. So this is a little bit different category, but of course also very, very helpful with significant impact, and a little bit more complex, but also relatively low-hanging fruits. So you can easily achieve this.
Very good.
And I think there's a few other areas that are they're more emerging, but we're working with customers on around AI and PIM in particular, product data in particular. I think two things we're seeing is the idea of being able to go in and make product recommendations based on a specific parameter or criteria. So for example, if we have large electrical customers, electronics, and basically they're looking at energy usage, and you can put a parameter in and say, okay, if it falls within this parameter, then it comes back and recommends these products as a first pass. So it kind of lets you hone in and focus in on the specific products very quickly. And so we see that as definitely a use case that's there. The large language model allows you to interrogate lots of data and get to answers very quickly, obviously. And so that's one area that's there. And another thing that we're seeing, and this goes back to, in my intro, I was talking about sustainability, but you can look at material substitutions and also interrogate the data to look at what's sustainable versus not as part of your product information. And so that's another area that companies are leaning in on with this solution relative to PIM and product data. So you have more environmentally compliant and sustainable products, and you're able to actually represent them appropriately in the marketplace as well, getting to this whole ecosystem around product that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Very
right.
good.
And if you go a little bit away from the e-commerce part and e-commerce related and communication related application of AI, then you also have the wide and huge area of simply quality improvement and data improvement. So here also, when you're in the MDM world, if you have to manage a lot of data, then everybody knows that maintaining a high level of quality, this is quite a task. And here again, this is a very good area where you can apply AI in order to detect anomalies, maybe directly improve things, and or create tasks for people to fix those problems and anomalies in your data. So this is also a very, very strong feature, which provides a huge benefit for all those who have large amounts of data. Also, automatic classification, mapping, and things like that. When you have lots of sources from where you receive data and import it, like lots of different suppliers and other sources, or other systems from where you take the data, then this is also a big help, and saves you a lot of work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What we're also working on at the moment is direct user support, but this is a little bit more difficult to achieve. So the idea here is that the system kind of learns what you do or what you plan to do, and then directly suggests you if it should complete the task for you. So if it's a more complex activity that involves 3, 4, 5 steps, then just have the software do it for you. Also saves you a lot of time. Yeah, we will go for a kind of retry. So already many years ago, we established a bot infrastructure all over the solution, and also voice enabling. So it was not so interesting that time. It was good for a show and things like that, but with a relatively low practical implication. We will see. So we will make this available again, because you know, when you have an AI engine that can assume what you probably want to do and suggest you to complete it, then you can of course click yes or something like this and confirm it, but you might also just want to say yes, do it, something like this. So we will simply try and see if users like it or don't like it. So it's a kind of easy task. The infrastructure is there, and maybe this voice control also has a little comeback with more and more AI support that is available.
Yeah, let's see what happens and what's the feedback. In the meantime, there is a very good question here from Andy. There are some regulations within various governments around the use of AI. How are these affecting your vision?
Yeah, absolutely right. So especially here in the EU, I think we are now one of the first with a very comprehensive regulation on AI, which consists of different components. So it also includes GDPR and other things. So, and all together, it's a quite comprehensive set of regulations. So what you have is actually that you have different risk classifications. Like you have non-acceptable risks, you have high risk, you have low risk, and you have no risk. And depending on what classification is relevant for you, you have to simply meet certain regulations. Of course, we have to do this. It's absolutely sure. We have to ensure that this is guaranteed. So what is good with the AI for PIM use case, so product information management use case, is first that lots of applications are in the no risk or low risk category. You know, so this makes it of course easy, because here you have very little or no implication at all. So you have of course significant implications. So if it's non-acceptable risk, then you can't do it. If it's high risk, you have to meet certain regulations, but most of the stuff is in the no risk or low risk area, and this is very easy to handle.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think what we're seeing too, though, is, and I think as Jürgen points out, obviously with the product being product-based, it's not as much of an exposure. But what we're also seeing is that a lot of companies are self-governing, because what they're starting to see is, hey, we should do, you know, a lot of this AI activity behind our firewall as opposed to exposing data externally. And so what's being looked at is, how do we optimize the use of the large language model and have models specific to domains and application sets, product-based essentially, and do that translation or do some of those things internally as opposed to externally and exposing things in the ether, if you will. And so even though the government's making impositions, I think corporations are making impositions as well in terms of, you know, what their policies are relative to AI and what works for them versus what doesn't, and how they can get a competitive advantage. And there are lots of advantages, obviously, but you have to, like anything, you have to use caution and think through, you know, what you're doing as part of your strategy. And what's most effective for your organization versus not, and what the risks are, and do that assessment. And I think that's a corporate thing that, as much as a government thing, if you will.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is an area that offers incredible opportunities, but it needs to be navigated carefully because also, we're dealing with trust, right? With the trust of people and individuals.
And it's also clear. I think
fundamental.
it's absolutely required to have those regulations because you see yourself, and everybody knows what you can do with AI. Just creating all kinds of images, creating all kinds of videos, creating tons of messages and pushing it out to lots of different medias and channels. You can use the data in order to for decision-making purposes, maybe also in order to decide on who is getting a job or not and things like that, just to mention. So this is, of course, very, very critical. So here it needs rules, it needs guidance. And I think we need this on a global level. So everywhere. I think it's also good that we have now European-wide, so EU-wide regulation and not just individual countries. So this is already much more powerful. I think it's also good that we are one of the first to have such a regulation, so that you get experience with it, you have to adopt it, etc. So this is also more a plus than a minus. And again, I was already mentioning this in earlier sessions when we were talking about mostly compliance topics and other things. It's anyway very much about transparency. So the more critical the application of AI is, the more transparent everything has to be. So how do you come to certain decisions? What are the sources you are using, etc. So the more critical it is, the more transparency is needed. And I think anyway, best is to be fully transparent. So our goal is definitively that wherever we are using AI and wherever the technology is from us, that we provide full transparency of what we are doing and what is going on. And in some parts, it's also required. So giving another example, which is low critical or non-critical, but still, we will also with our new software release, every enterprise software has an online help, which tells you what you can do, and you check things, and you have lots of documentation. So what we were doing, we are, of course, loading all this stuff into a large language model, and did build a kind of expert system on our own software on top of this. And this is included. So it's actually, it runs on premise. So it runs in our own cloud center. So it's not that we send something somewhere. It's own technology. And the way you interact with the system is now completely different, because you can just chat, you can just key in your question, and then you get your answers. And then maybe a next step might be that because the system knows everything, it might directly do something for you, like for example, directly create a mapping, directly create an interface or something like that. So it's a small step. Yeah? And we will, in another step, provide something similar for our customers, because we already have all the data and the product data. But here we are already in a situation where it might be necessary to provide full transparency on why the system comes up with a certain result. You might have conflicting data, for example, as a source. So you might want to know that when you ask a question, that the answer is probably this, but there's one conflicting information, and it is this. And you might also want to know how this result, how the system came up with this result, and you might want that it tells you the sources and the source information. Especially depending on what kind of products you sell, this might be critical. Just think about some in pharmaceutical industry or other industries, then this is immediately critical.
Absolutely.
And but as I mentioned, so transparency is absolute key, then I think really make sure that the system does that the user knows exactly what he gets. So when a result is not 100% clear, you need to have this information. But this is not 100% guaranteed. That it might be just 90% or 95% because there is some conflicting info. But this is possible. I would say, especially in B2B AI applications, this is required very often. B2C, if it's like these expert systems also. It is just that when you today interact with OpenAI, ChatGPT, you're not so much used to it. You get something, then you check yourself, and then you optimize your prompt and to get better results. But the system simply takes all decisions for you and just, presents a kind of opinion or presents a best result, things like that, information.
Yeah. Very good question, Andy. Thank you very much. It's indeed a crucial topic. We have a very good one also here from Paul. I'm interested in hearing more about improving data quality with AI and auto-classification mapping. Can you give some examples of both?
Yes. I give you a very simple example, but it's not much different when you think about it's of course much more complex when you have master data and things like that. But I give you a very simple example. You have an agenda for a meeting you do. Say you do a meeting every Wednesday, and it is 2 hours, and you have an agenda with the topics and maybe always a subline. Okay, you have numbers, first topic, second, third, headline, subline, things like that. And then maybe in one agenda, you have one headline, no subline, and you have another agenda where you have the numbering is missing. And then you throw this into an AI engine and ask for improvement. What do you get? It recognizes, oh, there's a numbering, it's missing. So it completes it, you get the numbers. And it will also recognize, oh, there's a subline missing. From the way other sublines are created and the ways they are in context with the headline and the general information it has, it will create it for you. So it will complete it. And it is actually, you can do it. You can also do this using OpenAI, ChatGPT. You can also do it. If you do it, the result is 90%, 95% good. In this case, you had absolutely no manual work. The AI was doing everything for you. It is very similar in master data management. You have a lot of information. As the information relates to products or to other domains. And from just all the data that is available and the context that is there and the way it is used, etc., you can do lots of operations. So this already provides very good information on how to best improve it. And maybe if you do it yourself, you will do it also similar. You would conduct a search. Okay, here's something missing. Okay, what category is it? Oh, what is it in the other categories? Oh yeah, it's the same, etc. So you might use similar ways to do it, and only in some parts you need an expert who you ask. Oh, what is the problem here? What is the value? It's missing. And this is exactly what happens. So the AI can directly help you to improve and solve lots of issues with your data, and it might also detect and help you to detect areas where the AI might not be in a position to help, but where it requires manual work and create a task. And this is a very, very powerful feature.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so the way I look at it, really, there's kind of few different things in terms of classification. I'll take the second half of that question, because you have classification of imaging or content that you are classifying, and AI can obviously interrogate the data and group it. But then you can also do when you have different synonyms or different things coming in. One supplier may call a product A, another calls it B, and AI can actually, once you've trained the model, it knows that A and B are the same or equivalent, and so it's ingesting the data and bringing it into the product data. It actually is automating that process, and it streamlines that, so there's not as much of a need to do that classification, because you're actually utilizing data from two different sources. That becomes one, which ultimately gets ingested into the product data set and is able to be utilized downstream. So that's just a quick example that of what customers can do. So the power of AI and the large language models allows you to go in and essentially interrogate data and can train the model. And where the real benefit comes in is actually working on things that are very customer specific, because each customer has different things that they would want to train up on for their specific applications. Because you get into taxonomy, you get into actual product classification, you get into various things that are germane to that specific customer. And that's where the power comes in terms of training that domain model specific to an organization and utilizing it for business benefit. That's more complex than the simple stuff. The low-hanging fruit, as we mentioned, auto translation, localization. There's a lot of things we've been doing for years that we can do more quickly with some of the new things that have come out. But which are kind of been there, done that, and we talked about that in some of the previous sessions. But then there's new things that are emerging that are also going to produce huge big benefits for organizations, and we're seeing more and more companies look at this and work with us on these types of initiatives.
Indeed, it's very much an amplification of what you were doing and just faster. Very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Maybe also just to add regarding this classification topic, also when you have mappings like from your internal classification to maybe E-class or other classification systems, then already, or if you just very simple import an Excel sheet and then you have a mapping to your structure, then you always, all systems provide some kind of auto mapping. This is usually based on the name of the attributes. This is length, this is also length, so probably it's a match. This is the weight, this is also weight, probably it's a match, etc. Then maybe also a little bit more complex. It's more or less based on rules, but this auto mapping is more or less always available. With AI, it's much more powerful. Because you do not create all those rules individually, and then you might add another rule. So it is self-learning, and this is key. So it will create you the mapping based on the attribute names where it fits, but it also considers the content, and it also considers other mapping activities that were already done and maybe approved by you or something like that. So everything is available. So this can do much more. So maybe the auto mapping can do typically maybe 50%, and then AI-based mapping is capable of doing maybe 80 or 85%, and then maybe only 10-15% are left.
Incredible. There's a question here from Sumit. What are some common challenges organizations face when implementing an AI in PIM, and how can they overcome them?
So I really like this question. Actually, it kind of reminds me of some of our previous sessions, actually. And AI is not a silver bullet. I think the biggest thing that organizations need to realize, or people that are looking at this, is, what is the thing, or what are the topics where I can get the biggest business benefit, and where there's not a lot of activity or effort that's required to get to that benefit, because success breeds success. So, for example, auto translation is a perfect example. You can go in, you can do auto translation today. It's not then it's not hard to make the business case for. You can actually do it in multiple, steps, and you can go out and get that done. And so that's something that's very easily done. But when you start looking at doing things like auto text generation or a for a specific product set or this type of thing, then you need to look at your taxonomy and your data quality within your organization, and that requires you to go back and really work through that to make sure that the data that you're inputting, which AI is going to utilize to make the finished product, is substantial, and you have to do the modeling that's associated with that. So a bigger effort. So for me, making the case in the business is, hey, go in, look at the low-hanging fruit, look where there's a quick ROI, show the business benefit of doing it, and then success breeds success, you'll get the next thing. And I'd also be leery of, just jumping on, some of the things that we've talked about that are more complex. You want to start simple, with a reasonable scope, and basically be able to implement it and then move forward and show the business benefit and move on to the next thing. Because it's first of all, it's a topic that's going to be here. It's going to be around for a long time, and companies are going to be getting a lot of benefit from it. But I think you want to start where it's manageable, where management can get behind it, where there's not a ton of cost that's associated with it, and you get a quick benefit from it. So that's my recommendation. You might have some more.
Yeah, and as you were saying, so in most cases, AI supports your processes, makes it more efficient, makes it faster, saves you a lot of work, but it does, in most cases, not replace them. So you still need to have your processes, and you also, and they should work. And AI requires data. So this means you can only really.
We momentarily lost Jürgen.
Unfortunately,
you definitively.
we missed part of you, Jürgen. So maybe you want to say the last few seconds there.
Yeah. Okay. So and what is also important is your data. So you need to have high quality data and also complete data, complete technical data, everything available for your products. So if you have done your PIM homework in a good way, also without AI, then you have a very good starting point for applying AI and making everything more efficient, making it richer, communicate more direct and more individualized and personalized and all these things. But you need to have this foundation. This is key.
Well, we had recently a poll about to really understand whether companies are already using AI for PIM. And this, I believe, connects to what you're mentioning here about, doing the initial homework. So only actually 62% of the participants to the poll replied that no, they are not using AI for PIM. What do you think about these results?
Yeah, I think it is representative, absolutely. So I would agree. I would differentiate a little bit. So first is of course there are many older implementations out there in the market. So processes, everything established, and if you have a situation that works, usually are not so keen on changing something, even if it does improve what you do, if it is improving your processes, etc. But if you don't have to change things, you simply don't do it. So we definitively have quite some systems out there where the setup and everything is good. People are happy with the way they're using it. There are, of course, possibilities to improve things using AI, but there's no immediate pressure, and the focus is currently somewhere else. Then if you have newer implementations, so maybe implementations that were started within the last 2-3 years, where it was everywhere and all about AI, and then you usually have already in the project plan that at some stage in the project, you then also step by step use AI services because it just makes life easier. So I think in those projects you have a higher level of application, and then I expect that it will anyway significantly increase in the next 2-3 years. So many companies are still waiting a little bit. Technology is at least what is visible to the public. So what is visible to most. So AI is not really new, but the momentum came with OpenAI, ChatGPT, and generative AI and some other things, and this is relatively new. So it's still a little bit an early adopter thing today, and some companies are waiting a little bit to see how things work and then implement it also.
Yeah, makes sense. And I really like the suggestion that you gave before, Al, when you talked about going for the low-hanging fruit first, show some benefits, and then moving to more robust, more, let's say, important applications for it. So this could also be a way for organization to start using it and then to apply it to different things such as PIM. And this number, 62% with time will go smaller. We have a question here from Rohit.
Before we get to that, I was going to mention, I think it's a very high percentage. I think, organizations are missing out on major opportunity by not going after the low-hanging fruit. And I think AI, in some respects, as Jürgen mentioned, it's been around for quite a while. It's been, and I think there were some conceptions in the marketplace. Hey, it's expensive. It requires a lot of compute. It's, what are the potential results? There's a lot of different things that are there, but and it definitely got a shot in the arm and a lot of energy when we came out with ChatGPT, probably, 14, 16 months ago, and that really kind of got things moving. But also, the technology sets have gotten much better. The language auto translation, it's much better than it was years ago. So it's in terms of accuracy and its capabilities. So there have been major changes there, which make it much more efficient and economical to kind of do this, especially on broad scales. And so I think companies should really consider or think about this. And over time, it will change. There's no question people will be doing this. It's just a question of when to do it. And I think that companies should think about getting engaged on this low-hanging stuff and put it as part of a plan sooner than later, because the other stuff is coming. And that's where there are going to be game-changing things that had happened in the marketplace. And you should have some familiarity with these tool sets before you try to do something that's more complex and a greater risk and a greater liability to your organization. So that's my general thought.
Yeah, indeed, because we're seeing legislations appearing. They are obviously, for many organizations, they're thinking, oh, let's see what happens first, before jumping into it. So they're kind of a deterrent for organizations to start adopting AI. But yeah, we're moving forward. We're seeing, first of all, there are low-hanging fruits there that bear lower risk. And, with the AU Act, we are moving forward in a direction which at some point in time will reveal already more clear guidelines. But it's important to start, I believe, adopting AI with some low-hanging fruit and with low risk. Let's see what Rohit has here for us. While AI in PIM is powerful, it also bears notable challenges, including a lack of human oversight and the need to depend on quality training data, which can be complex as well as costly. How do you overcome this challenge?
Okay, so maybe I take this question. So the first part, so a lack of, or the risk of a lack of human oversight. So we have a relatively high adoption rate of AI within our client base. To be honest, at least at the moment, they are all super careful regarding what data they use and how far do they trust the results generated by AI. So I'm actually not aware of even one customer who just accepts the results. So there's always quality approval process and a review process that follows. So even where is it used for data improvements, like I was mentioning before, it is not like it is improved. It is like, all data records that have been changed or where some additional data was created or something like that are presented to a human to approve it. Same with all the translations, same with the texts that are created, same even with image descriptions, keywords, absolutely everything. So maybe this is also part of the learning process that companies and people need to learn how good is the quality, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, etc. And the first step is don't trust it and check yourself. And then you get a good feeling for it. And this is actually where we are at the moment. But I also agree with Al that the quality is improving and it is improving fast. So I actually do expect that at some point companies and people will change the process here and also accept things created by AI as is. But at the moment, we don't see this. But I maybe also have to point out that most of our customers are B2B. We have not so many, but we have not so many customers in the B2C sector. And if it's B2C, then it's usually also more complex and more technical things. So at least within this client base, this is not existing at the moment. So they're a little bit more so extremely careful. Regarding the training data and quality training data, yes. We were already mentioning this. So you can only fully use AI if you have high quality data already available. So you need to have all the information on your products available. And then you can make full use of AI. But it is possible for a software vendor like us to provide pre-trained engines based on your data, so on the data that is available in the system. So this is not necessarily your effort as a client. So here we can provide significant support. And then also when it's about, for example, even simple things, like you create a product description. You tell the system, of course, as part of the configuration, what information that is available on your product is relevant for creating this description. Then you have comparison with other description and text that are already available. And then the system creates something. And then there's a little tuning process. But this is no big effort. So the quality depends a lot on the data that is available. And then you have the tuning process. The tuning, this is about the tonality, the language, things like that. Here you need to fine tune until the system kind of creates it the way you like it. And this is done in a kind of initial process. And this takes, a couple of weeks until you have really good quality. Until then, it requires some fine tuning, but then it is done. So it's not so much effort, actually.
Yeah.
I really like that question. I'll tell you why. I think, and this comes back to the whole misperception of things. You don't just take AI and do it without a human. It just doesn't happen, okay? And one of the things, I hate the concept or the term that the industry is using of these prompt engineers, because to me, in order to really be able to get the benefit out of AI, you need someone who knows the business process and what needs to be extracted or what the end result is from AI. So if it's somebody in manufacturing, that's okay. This is the data I'm working with, and this is what I want to get out of it. And that old person who's been in the factory forever knows exactly what they're going to get from a product perspective. Same thing with the language, in terms of auto translation. I mean, as we mentioned, you can get super efficiencies and save tons of money, but you're not going to go have AI generate something and not have someone review it at the end, and the person who's reviewing at the end better speak the language that it's being localized to, otherwise it's a total waste. So it's just common sense, but AI is not this thing that just goes and produces this great result. It gets you and it makes you more efficient, it makes you a lot more productive, it saves you lots of money and time, but you still need that human interaction. And quite frankly, if you're really going to optimize it, you want to put it in the hands of somebody who knows how to use a tool. And if you think about a tradesman, basically you're going to go, put a roof on a house. You want somebody who's done some roofing before, whether they're using a nail gun or a hammer. I've used that kind of concept before, but the same thing with AI. AI is a tool. It can get you there a heck of a lot faster, cheaper, more efficiently in many respects. But you better have people who understand the business, understand the potential for the result of applying AI. And then you have to have the other things in place. We talked about taxonomy and content and these types of things. You got to clean that up and have that available so that AI can do its work, and then have the people that are working with it to get a result and be efficient. But as Jürgen mentioned, we have customers that are cutting their new product introduction cycles down significantly, 50 to 70%. I mean, huge results. Right? And
Indeed.
That's with existing, that's not even the future stuff. That's the stuff that we already
Today.
have.
Yeah.
And I think it's really also a little bit, when you look on the internet, then of course you see tons of messages, social media, etc., that were clearly just created by AI, fully automatically done, finished, published, out, and done. And there are, of course, also lots of marketing tools available where can you build your structured marketing processes and all based on AI created communication, things like that. So everybody who's in this business knows these tools. But so this, of course, this of course creates the impression that you have just poor quality, and this poor quality is just pushed out everywhere. But it is not. This is not the way it is used within the PIM and MDM context. Absolutely not. So here the quality level is much higher, and this of course does require this human interaction, and this is what companies also want to have. So this is a completely different quality level.
Yeah, lots of very important concepts here. First of all, the one about caution, which is always good to distrust the results and double check that, and make sure that it is the correct one. I remember we talked about, creativity and marketing content being generated by AI in the past. And yes, we're seeing now what's happening with it. Yeah, it's like factory-made creativity. Yeah, nothing more than that. So it's still very, very important that we are really using artificial intelligence and the abilities of human in a synergy that brings overall results, and that does not eclipse, let's say, the ability and the skill that people can provide already pretty well. And lastly, well, it's very important that we keep talking about these things, because indeed, you see, there are many questions that are bringing up different point of views and important worries and concerns, whether they are connected to legislations, whether they are connected to general challenges in the adoption in PIM. And it's just really great that we're here talking about them, isn't it?
Definitely. It's a great topic.
Very good. Very good indeed. I really like that we're kind of seeing here an evolution from the first time we discussed about artificial intelligence, when there was the big, pretty much when ChatGPT was becoming the talk of the day, and we're now seeing how we're moving towards adoption in processes and important business processes, and how we're seeing, organizations embracing it or going after more and more, right, in a way that it brings business results. What can I say, gentlemen? As always, it's a huge pleasure speaking to you two, looking at this evolution and progress together. And obviously, we're going to talk about, we're going to meet again, actually, pretty soon on the 24th of April, I believe, for a new discussion. And the last thing I would like to ask you is, you have seen in the PIM and MDM industry so many evolutions over the last years. Now there is artificial intelligence. What do you think will be the most incredible, almost shocking new evolution that we haven't seen yet in the adoption of AI to PIM specifically? What's the biggest, most shocking area of applications, let's say?
Actually, two things, in my opinion. First is that AI will completely replace functions you have in PIM today. So it's already clear that not now, but with improving technology, it is possible to completely automate activities that you are doing with lots of functions and features today, and you can do it in a better way. So the solutions will look completely different. And this is also something which we already have on our roadmap. And when you just let your team brainstorm, think of maybe 5 years ahead. Again, faster, more computing power, everything faster, everything more powerful, more advanced AI. How would you actually design this function? How would you design maybe onboarding? How would you design digital shelf? How would you design data quality in general and things like that? Then it looks completely different. And this will have a significant impact. And it also changes the way you work with a PIM system and with an MDM system. And you have to see this in concert with the second key topic. And this is the way AI is changing programming large applications.
Yep.
So when I look at our own AI teams, the way they work, the way they program, the way they code, this is already completely different to conventional teams. Because of course you use your own technology, you use that stuff. And AI is great for basic coding activities. And this is of course, again, helping you to get more done in a better quality. So you can focus more on architecture, on design, on the more challenging things. And if you bring these two things together, like whole feature sets will be implemented completely differently and presented completely differently based on AI, and then at the same time, you're much faster with implementing this because AI also helps you there as a software company. If you apply it for your own purpose yourself, then this is very powerful. So we will see significant change. So this is one of the most important inventions and strongest impact on MDM, PIM, and lots of other software businesses.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really impactful. I mean, if you look at, NVIDIA made the announcement yesterday or the other day about how much cheaper and much more compute you're going to get through AI and their feature capabilities. And so as the costs get driven down to do these things, AI will be able to do pattern recognition and optimization from a product standpoint. So you'll be able to look at, trends or nuances with customers and or regions relative to product. You'd be able to look at the product sets and make recommendations based on specific need. And it's kind of going to be pulling together the PIM and the e-commerce component. And a lot of it'll be, hey, you might not even need a website anymore. You just ask something and, you get what you need, in a verbal request type of thing and a grouping based on product cluster that's there. I think the future is very exciting. Now, when does it come? It's coming, but how quickly, like all technologies, you don't know. But I think that AI will be very game changing for MDM and PIM. And you'll see a lot of things that have been able to be done where it will be able to make recommendations based on various things. Where in the past you had to have an individual sit around and think about some of these things. It may do some pattern recognition and be able to say, hey, this is the market, this is the product set that's going to take off here, there, or wherever. And you'll see that for sure.
Yeah, if you ask me, it's coming pretty quickly. We have seen already over the last few months, it is coming pretty quickly.
Yes.
Right. And like in the real world where you have, the combination of AI and maybe machines or robotics, etc., which is again a completely different level. Of course, self-driving cars and so this is one thing based on AI, but also lots of other activities where you have so the whole execution also automized. And also here, it's also not such a big step to have an AI engine sell your products. And then maybe as another step, the purchasing might also be done powered by AI. And then it becomes interesting what's happening there. But all this is not too far away. So it is not just about the data. It's really directly connecting data to processes, end to end, etc. So this is where we are heading for. But the basic for everything is data foundation. When you have this, you can adopt the rest quickly.
Yes.
100%. Well, we've covered plenty during this session, but so many different things and so many different use cases. I would like our viewers to be able to find a way to reach out to you, learn more about what you're doing, and perhaps inquire about any of these business cases and applications that we discussed. So what would be the best way to find out more about Via Medici or to connect with you?
Well, so you can go to viamedici.com, and we'll also put a link at the bottom within this session so that they can connect with us either via LinkedIn, our LinkedIn site, our website, connect with us directly. And we'll put all that contact information there so you can follow up. And we're happy to follow up with you directly and also have you talk to our customers if it makes sense. So that's what I like. I like the customers speaking. Yeah. As opposed to us speaking for them.
Yeah, and there is actually a good opportunity because for all those who maybe happen to be in Germany or not too far away on the 18th and 19th of April. So we have a big event in Karlsruhe, our Innovation Day, where also Al and me are present and many, many others. It's all about PIM, it's about MDM, it's about e-commerce and all the stuff around this. So it would be great to meet some of you. So information, again, you find on our website. And we will also provide some free tickets. So we provide 5 free tickets. If you want to have one of it, then just let us know. And then maybe you're amongst those who get one. It would be great to meet you there.
Fantastic. I want to thank everyone in the audience that contributed with their questions. And I want to thank Rohit. I want to thank Sumit. I want to thank Paul. Of course, as always, the more questions, the more comments we have, the better it is. There's always new things we can explore. And remember to always ask questions, because by asking questions, you can make the content that we share relevant to you. So thank you very much to all of you for being with us today. Thanks again, Jürgen. Thanks again, Al. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, and of course, have a fantastic continuation of the day to all of you.
Thank you, Pio. Thank you all for attending. Great questions. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was really a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.